What is going on, people? It is your boy Temp, and I am here to talk about my ultimate Canon M50 handheld rig. Now, I've seen a lot of M50 rigs on YouTube, but I have not seen any quite like this one. This thing is a beast. It's not super heavy. It's really well balanced. I'm really proud of this rig. So I'm gonna go through all the different components of my rig. And if you guys are interested in buying any of the parts on this rig, I'm going to leave links in the description down below so you guys can get it yourself. But before we get into that, be sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. So I'm going to take this rig apart and build it up again so you guys can see the whole process. Okay, so let's start off with the heart of the rig, and that is the Canon M50. This camera is definitely a beast, and it's a relatively cheap camera. I think you can get it brand new, body only, for like 600 bucks, which is not expensive at all. I definitely recommend this camera. There are some things that I don't like about it. Maybe I'll put that in another video. And attached to my camera, I have a Viltrox mount adapter. This is just the adapter. This is not the speed booster, but the speed booster is an option if you do want it. It is a lot more expensive though, keep that in mind. The reason why I have this is because all of my lenses are EF mount, so this lets me use EF mounts on this camera. So in order to really build this camera out, you have to get some sort of camera cage. This is the small rig camera cage designed specifically for the Canon M50. I like this cage a lot. It has a lot of mounting holes. It has a NATO rail on the side, which I will utilize later on in the video. And I have a NATO rail attachment on top. This is made by a company called Magic Rig. I'm not really sure why I went with Magic Rig instead of Small Rig. Maybe it was cheaper at the time, who knows? But I have a extra NATO rail attachment on top of the cage, and you'll see why I have that later on in the video. So all you have to do is grab your camera, put it here, and screw it in. What I like about these cages is that they have a tool right here that you can use to screw in things like a flathead kind of coin type of tool. So I'm going to use that to screw in my camera. And there is a magnet on the bottom, and you can just store it right there. Now that we have the cage on the camera, we can really start building. And the first thing I do is I use this base plate. This is a small rig universal base plate. They have two different versions of this. There's one that's cheaper and there's one that's more expensive. This is the one that's more expensive. So the reason why I got the more expensive one is because it has a lot of surface area. So when I put my camera down, I have a lot more surface area for me to rest my camera to prevent it from tilting. Also, what I like about this is the quick release plate. So what I like about this plate is that it's very narrow. So when I put it on, it doesn't block the battery door, and I still have access to my tool if I need it. So now I'm going to mount this base plate on the bottom of my camera cage. Again, utilizing the tool on the bottom of the cage, and boom. So as you can see, I have access to my battery door, and I still have access to my tool if I need it. So now let's mount the camera on top of the base plate. You just slide it in, and then you pull this lever. This is nice and secure, so this is not going anywhere. And if you need to tighten it, just take an Allen key and you can tighten it right here. So the next thing we're gonna add is our rails. So these are small rig 15mm carbon fiber 12-inch rods. You just slide these in like this, and then just lock it. Same thing with the other side. So we just put these in and lock them in. So now that we have our rods, we can start mounting things on top. And the first thing I'm going to mount is this battery plate by Small Rig. I'm using this to power everything on my rig currently. I decided to go with this battery plate because this takes Sony MPF batteries, and those are smaller than what you would probably mount on a rig, like a V-mount battery. In the future, I'll probably get like a matte box, or I plan on getting a 24-70 lens, which is heavier than the current lens that I use. So hopefully that'll work out. But for now, the Sony MPF is the only battery I need. So now I'm gonna put on my Sony NPF battery. This is a 950. So next I'm going to add my favorite lens, which is the Sigma 18-35 f1.8. If you have a crop sensor camera, I highly suggest that you get this lens. This is one of the best investments I have made to my camera rig. So let's take this lens cap off and let's put the lens on the rig. So on my lens, I have these follow focus gears, which make it easier for me to use my follow focus. I don't like the adjustable gear that comes with a lot of follow focuses. These are custom fit for this lens, and the company that makes these, they make a bunch of other gears for a bunch of other lenses. So I personally think it's a great investment. The next thing I'm gonna add is this small rig lens support. Now, this is completely optional. I mean, pretty much anything on this rig is optional depending on how you want to rig it. But depending on the size of your lens, you may not need this. But Sigma lenses tend to be a bit heavier, so I use this to relieve some of the stress on the mount. And the thing that I like about this one is that this has openings that you can slide right in. A lot of the other lens supports I've seen, you have to slide it on the front, and if you want to move your follow focus or something like that, you have to take it off, then move this around, and then slide that one. You can just slide it on really easy. And I'm also going to tighten it right here, and now we have extra support for our lens. Something to consider if you are getting a lens mount is that sometimes they poke out on the bottom, so when you rest your camera, it might be prone to tilting like mine is. Like as soon as I put on my side handle, it starts to wobble a bit. What I do to combat that is that you see these little levers right here, you can pull them out and you can point them in different directions without unlocking them. So I just face these downward, and it gives me 2 more points of contact, so it's a lot less likely to tilt and fall over because we want to protect our gear. So now I'm going to attach my top handle. This is a small rig top handle with a NATO rail, which is why I have the attachment on top. I like NATO rails because they're super easy. All you have to do is just slide it on, tighten it, and that is it. And if you want to tighten it more, these small rig ones come with a little Allen key, so you can get in there and really tighten this bad boy up to make sure it's not going anywhere. Now that I have my top handle, I'm going to attach my side handle. This is a small rig side handle, again, NATO rail. So remember I said there was a NATO rail on the side here. All you have to do is just slide it up, tighten it up, and now we have our side handle. This next piece I don't always have on my rig, but if I am outside, I'm definitely going to use an ND filter. And the one that I use is the Freewell variable ND filter. This is the 2-stop to 5-stop version. I bought mine in an 82mm. It's always good to buy your filters as big as you can and then get a step-up ring in order for it to fit on all your lenses. So my 18 to 35 is a 72mm thread. I have a step-up ring. I'm going to attach that. And then I can attach my filter. Definitely don't tighten it too much, just enough so it's secure. And boom, there we go. The one thing that I really like about these ND filters is that they come with a magnetic lens cap. So if I'm on the run, I could just pull this out my pocket, slap it on like so, and now my ND filter is protected. Now let's attach our follow focus. This is the Tilta Mini follow focus. This is one of the only things on my rig that is not made by Small Rig. Small Rig is coming out with the follow focus though. They're pretty much the same, so I'm just gonna stick with this one. So let's just attach this real quick. And now I'm ready to pull focus. I prefer pulling focus with the follow focus rather than using your hand. It's just a lot easier for me. So now it's time for me to put on my monitor. This is the Andy Sidney C7. This is a 7-inch 4K ultra bright monitor, and emphasis on ultra bright. This thing goes up to 2200 nits, which is ridiculously bright. I never have it past 30% brightness because 1, you really don't need your monitor to be that bright, and 2, this monitor tends to run pretty hot to the touch, so something to be aware of. And I'm using a Small Rig monitor mount. I've had a lot of bad experiences with other monitor mounts. This is something that you definitely want to spend money on. Do not cheap out because your monitor will fall. I've had my monitor fall off my rig so many times, so definitely don't cheap out when it comes to the monitor mount. And if I want to capture audio, I use the Rode VideoMic NTG. This is a mix of their VideoMic series and their NTG series. I really like having this gain knob right here on the back of the mic so I don't have to go into my camera settings and do it. And I mount my microphone on the handle over here. So that's pretty much it for all the components. Now I'm just going to power everything. First, let's get power to the camera. You can't see it, but on the back of the plate, there is a 7-volt output. Then I come underneath the camera. So what I like to do to keep it tidy is wrap it around the rods. So I will come underneath here, 1, 2, on the third one I come in front of the lens support, come back, and then plug that in. It keeps it tidy, and also it keeps it from dangling, helps you prevent it from getting pulled out and losing footage, which I've done plenty of times. So next I am going to plug in my HDMI cable, and this right here is a right angle adapter. I highly recommend using right angle adapters. Again, they just help keep things tidy. So I'm gonna plug in the micro HDMI here and plug in the HDMI into this port right here. So now I'm gonna run power to my monitor, and I use this dummy battery and its power cable. I'm gonna plug in my 12-volt adapter and then just slide it into the camera. And last but not least, I'm going to plug in my audio cable, run that underneath here, and plug it in. And that is it. We are ready to go out and shoot whatever we need to shoot. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me going through my rig and going through all the components, and I will see you guys on the next one.